is my version of that? I mean, my brain immediately goes to the shows I grew up watching. So it's like, I would run home from school and I would hit that marathon like two Saved by the Bells, two California Dreams, two Family Matters, two Full House, two Fresh Prince, and just kind of like, and then of course there was always TGIF, so I was a big, Step by Step, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Boy Meets World. Like I was just a sucker for all of that. So to this day, if I'm ever, scrolling through and just trying to watch something late at night to relax, it's always one of those, and just whichever one pops up. I watched the first episode quickly, and then would kind of go in and grab bits of it and here and there, and once I got to meet Martin Clunes, which was incredible, of course. So then watched a couple more pieces after that. But it was more so, honestly, most of my research came from talking to two of my dear friends, Joanna and Justin, who are just huge fans of the show. So when we were sitting around my dinner table one day, they were asking me what I was heading to work on next, and it's about this doctor, big city doctor. And they're like, wait. Are you doing Doc Martin? And it was like off we went, and it's been a very fun ride since. I think Mark is looking in the mirror every morning, telling himself, "Let's go hot guy summer." And there's a very fun reveal where I think all the available women in town are lining up that he has hung out with. So I believe he is trying his best to get over the love of his life, Louisa. So off we go. I think this is a good time where he could use somebody like Brooke, from the other two, Lance's cook, Brooke. Brooke Dubeck would be a very nice influence for somebody like Mark. Tell him to go sow his wild oats. Melissa and Quinta would be incredible. I know that we would have a very good time. Maybe Helena will get to pop up soon. That would be very fun. Now you just got me pictured what it would be like to live in Port Wene with each of them. I think the Big Teagues would have a very good time in Port Wene. No, that'd be very funny. It's more so making me laugh thinking about them coming from the worlds that we established on screen. So like if we brought the Scream world to Port Wene, or if we brought Abbott over to Port Wene, what that would look like. I mean, I might have to throw in Mary Holland in there, from Big Door Prize. That's one of my nearest and dearest, and I think that she would have a hilarious time in Port Wene. But it'd be Nat and Giorgio, so Giorgio would probably open up a restaurant. They'd be competing with the Salty Breeze. He'd start a rivalry with Greg and George, and then they'd become best friends. Absolutely. I think that he loves his job. I think that he's very good at his job. But I will also say that like maybe he has a little bit too much fun at his job, He doesn't even have a gun. So I don't think that he's necessarily been put in like the toughest of situations in Port Wene, which is why he loves it. I think he could just kind of gets to have a little bit more fun, get some cats out of the trees, as maybe, I don't think there are too many noise disturbances, But he's a fixture in the town. And you will see him get a little down and dirty this season. And when you do, you'll see him really click into his element. He's been preparing for this his whole life. I think that's where I think that if it was up to Louisa, right, we'd become friends quickly. If it was up to Mark, they'd still be together. So we're just kind of down that road of navigating what both of them want and how they're going to move forward in a town where they can't get out of each other's faces, right? So everyone needs to know what's going on. Everyone wants to know what the latest is. And where we're headed is very fun. There's a very fun road ahead with these two. And part of that is the joy of getting to work with Josh and Abigail and getting to play at all the different versions of heartbreak. And we've all been there. We've all had our heart broken, and we've all had to pick ourselves up. Pick up the pieces. So Mark definitely goes through the stages of grief on this one, and Louisa and Doc B are there for every step of the way. I think we're in the casual phase. I think that to make sense of the heartbreak, it had to be a really deep love. And that to me is also comedy,
Yeah.
you know, like there's a saying, I can't remember it right now. I'm mad at myself, but it's like that's the humor in it all, is that you're trying to get through the pain, you know. Um, so we'll definitely see him try to figure his way out of this out of this stage in his life. And part of that is meeting some new people. You know, that's what I would tell him if he was sitting right here next to me. I'd say, "Hey, Mark, come on, man, you got to get out there. You got to go. You got to go on a couple dates. You gotta make some new memories and see how they go. And maybe a new shoe will fit." Part of the fun in playing a character like Mark is that he is unabashedly earnest. So it allows you a couple blind spots so that you can keep playing straight. And one of the big blind spots that I think he has in this season is that he's not seeing the tension play out between Doc and Louisa. So that way, when the reveal does eventually come that they are, sparking a little romance, I think that it hits him like a ton of bricks. Um, and that's been really fun to play because throughout the journey, you're seeing Mark fall in love with his new best friend, Dr. Martin Best, actually. So it helps when he falls off that cliff at the very end. And we had a really good time shooting that day.
I love it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So Clea, who plays my mom, Clea Lewis, who I just love to death, like, the best, some of the best relationships that you'll see on screen are because the relationships in real life are really special. And if you feel like you're watching two friends play off of each other, that's the stuff I enjoy watching. So with Clea, we just met right away and hit it off right away. And she plays a pharmacist, and my parents are pharmacists in real life. And I used to, my daycare after school was the Walmart pharmacy. I'd run around the toy section, and I'd go to the food court, and they'd make me a grilled cheese with bacon, and a slushie and icy, and then I'd go to the toy section and play some ball, and somebody that was working there would come hang with me, and they always knew that Josh, that's Damaris' son, he's running around the Walmart, and whenever I needed her, I'd either grab her at the pharmacy, or I'd go to the speaker, and they'd say, "Damaris, your son is waiting for you at customer service. Damaris, your son is waiting for you at customer service." And Clea and I were just really dear friends now, and it's definitely helped us create this relationship where you don't meet Mark's dad, you don't know where he's at, so that already is one piece of evidence, right, as to what Sally and Mark's relationship is. And right when you meet Sally, she sticks up for Mark. She sticks up for Mark the whole season, and maybe even has some choice words about Louisa. So that's another piece of evidence of how close they are. And then it's just me and Clea, just kind of bringing our real life relationship onto the screen. And I think that they're very close because me and her are very close, and it's a sweet relationship to get to portray. And then of course you're trying to find, you're trying to make real relationships from real life play out on screen. And part of that is like, who is this guy and his mom? And why does he love her so much? And why does she love him so much? And why does she stick up for him? Maybe because he needs her, And so it's a really fun relationship. That's probably the biggest one. There's definitely some photos in the pharmacy. And, Clea, would ask me about certain specifics that my mom and dad had in their pharmacy. So there's a couple of those in there, like those candies on the counter, and then other Easter eggs are probably just maybe things that I'll sneak in there, like I try to do in every project, just things that mean a lot to me, or certain relationships that exist. So who knows where Mark's dad is, but whenever he pops up, I'm sure that's going to be a very fun Easter egg. Who would play my pop? I mean, off the top of my brain, I would love it if David Zayas came on and played my dad. I love Zayas to death, man. That's one of my dearest right there, and I just look up to him so much. That'd be a trip. I'd love it if Leguizamo came and played my pop. I just grew up, just idolizing him, and I know half his one-man shows by heart, so that'd be really fun. I could go down that list, but right off the bat, it'd be Zayas and Leguizamo. That'd be really fun. It was that's the perfect word. It was cozy. It's most of the time when you're in between takes, you're either in the studio and you're sitting, you're hanging out in a space with no sunlight, and then all of a sudden we're shooting in the Hudson Valley, and in between takes we can leave the salty breeze and just go sit on the river and listen to a podcast, and you're just honestly just walking to work half the time, just getting to know the town. And it's like a big old field trip. You're out there, and it's like summer camp where you're just discovering a whole new place. And my family loved it, and we hit every farm we could, and we picked every apple we could, and rode every wagon we could. And I can't wait to get back. It was just such a great experience. I love being up there. Absolutely, absolutely. I love it when they come to work with me, and that way they know where Daddy's at, and they know what I'm doing, and they had a really good time with this one because I get to wear a cop uniform, and my 5-year-old wants to be a police officer, he says. So I would always FaceTime and say, "Daddy, are you in your uniform?" And be like, "Yeah, of course." And if I wasn't in my uniform, "Daddy, why aren't you in your uniform?" And I'm like, "I know, I gotta put it on," And this was the first time. My boys are at an age now too. They're getting a little older, and so I've got some fun photos of them behind the camera, and my 9-year-old is asking a ton of questions about it. "Dad, what's this? What's that like? Like, what does it mean when they say this?" And it was I'm gonna remember this job as a very big chapter for all of us. They felt very much a part of it, and that's always a trip. Like Animal Control was the first show that we would watch as a family, and then they came to visit Daddy at work. So when they came up, when we drove up to the precinct for the first time, oh man, they geeked out, and we went to a playground out in Vancouver with Ravi, and we hung out, and Ravi left, and my oldest goes, "Daddy, that's crazy. That's the first real actor I've ever met." And I'm like, "I know, man, I know," So they're definitely putting pieces together now. Oh, it was awesome. A lot of photos were sent of the pig, of the doggy. We had a very good time. It's always interesting days when you're working with animals, and we have so many on our set. I definitely had to take some inspiration from my animal control friends. Like Joel's not scared of anything. Yeah. We had a day where he just put like this 5-6 foot lizard. And they were like, "Hey man, so he's got giant claws, so we got this towel for you." And he's like, No. We're just gonna put that right here on my shoulders. And off we went, dude. And I was like, "Joel, you're crazy, man." So I was just thinking about that. And I didn't have to put any pigs or dogs on my shoulders, but we had a very good time. And they're good little actors. So when Copernicus is running out of the door and I'm chasing him, it's always pretty surreal, and you're sitting back going like, "Can't believe that was my work today," just getting to hang with this dog and making good memories. They have found a way to put Mark in a lot of crazy situations. Mm-hmm. And that's when I'm having the most fun. Whenever I would read a script and I realize, oh, they got Mark in this zany thing going on, that's my jam right there. So you're going to see a lot of very fun, quirky events happen in Port Wene. We've got a lot of traditions that we're going to introduce the watchers to. So I'm excited to get involved in some hijinks. You're going to see him cry. You're going to see him laugh. You're going to see him get very badly hurt. And you're going to see him try to take care of other people that get very badly hurt. You'll see him go on some detective work with Dr. Best. So I'm excited for everyone to go on the journey with us. 100%. That's your script is your map, right? And I trust Liz so much. Like, she's just such a funny person in the best way, and like so smart and so witty. So she would just come up and we'd rap a little bit about the character or what she had in mind, and I'm always just gonna say yes and, like, so I just had such a good time with this guy, and if anything, I'm just as excited as the viewers to see what situations they were gonna put me in. And then of course as we go, I'll say like, yo, you see that lake over there? I'd love to be involved in that lake over there, like. And then they'll put me in a tree house and be like, yo, I can live in this tree house more often if you need me to. So it was just them introducing some crazy situation and me going, yeah, I'll do that. Let's rock. I love that.